Do you want to know about the biggest success story on the Shark Tank that generated over $40 million in sales? Well, today we have the founder and owner of Tower Paddleboards, who's going to spill the beans on what it takes to present your plan in front of the sharks. What started out as a passion to disrupt the expensive paddleboard market has now turned into a full-blown business that generates $500,000 a month with only 6 employees. How much did you need to start up the paddleboard business? How much money?
I'm known as the worst pitch in the history of Shark Tank. That still landed a deal.
On this episode, they're going to share what it takes to get featured on Shark Tank, how they got coverage in more than 20 countries, and what made them Mark Cuban's best investment in the history of Shark Tank. They're also just going to talk about their process of applying for Shark Tank, what it took to prepare for it, and much more.
Yeah, so growth hacking is kind of, the early internet term for how do you grow a company with no money.
Before we go meet Stephan, make sure you subscribe to our channel, like this video, and let's go meet the legend. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your business background, why and when you started this company.
Yeah, so I started Tower Paddleboards in 2010. It's sort of right place at right time. In 1999, I graduated from grad school here in San Diego, and they were just handing out internet jobs. So I've been sort of an internet marketing executive since, pre-Google AdWords. And then I went off on my own, 2004, started a company called buypokerchips.com. And that sort of peaked and then started coming back down, and I was scrambling to find other businesses. Started a number of them and they failed. And then just as I was, job hunting in 2010, a buddy took me paddleboarding, and I realized that was a huge market, that I could go direct to consumer paddleboards for about half the price. You could basically see how many people were searching on certain things, right? And then you can see how many sites were optimized towards that. So you find high demand and you find low supply, and you just meet that demand. And every time I've done a business like that, it succeeds. And every time I've invented a product and then tried to see if anybody would buy this, it failed.
Interesting. So we would love to hear in general about your Shark Tank experience. You got the phone call. What did you feel like? What was the prep process like?
So, I'm known as the worst pitch in the history of Shark Tank. That still landed a deal. I think there have been worse pitches, but somebody gave us money after this, calamity. So I went up there, and because they called me, I didn't know the show very well, and they wanted you to prepare like a 2.5 minute prepared pitch. And from memory, and I'm like, I'm not an actor or a singer, how do I do this? I don't know how to even do that. And so I had to practice this 1,000 times in my hotel room. And I went onto the set, I had a little slideshow. I went to go to the first slide, it shot through all my slides.
Oh no.
And so I lost my track, and then I was silent and stuttering and stammering to restart.
Mike,
I gathered myself, and then I sort of came back, and I did much better in the question and answer period. And I ended up getting the deal with Cuban for $150,000 for 30% of the company, plus first right of refusal to invest in any business I raise money for in the future, which was a first in the history of Shark Tank. So it started really rough. It ended, better, and then we've done over 40 million in sales since then. So we've been on a good stretch since then.
Tell us a little bit about the products behind us. Let's start with maybe the surfboards, the paddle boards. I see there's all kinds of designs. Walk us through really the evolution of things.
Paddleboards is how we launched. And the idea was always to launch this holistic beach lifestyle brand. Paddleboards was the entry point, because it was a booming business, and it was a good opportunity to launch this brand. And we thought we would do apparel and a bunch of stuff like that. We haven't done the apparel yet, but that may come. So we started in hard boards, like these epoxy boards here, and then the rest of these boards are inflatable boards. And this is really what we've become a leader in the market. So we started in there, and then we started to go into everything beach lifestyle. And we went into surfboards, and then when we went into electric bikes, because we saw that as another market. The electric bike market was booming, but we're Tower Paddleboards, so what we're going to do is we're going to make beach cruisers. So we make, sort of the top, beach cruisers, electric beach cruisers in the world, and we sell them for half price. So these go for $18.95.
Okay.
If you go to a retail store, you're going to pay about $4,300 for a bike of this quality.
How much did you need to start up the paddleboard business? How much money?
Yeah, well, we didn't have any money, so my poker chip business was declining, but I knew it was declining and paddleboards were going to take off. So I took $30,000 in inventory from my poker chip business, which was my best performing line, and I basically just ran it out and used that money to start the paddleboards, and that killed 50% of my poker chip business. So I basically killed that business to start this business.
As far as your appearance on Shark Tank, what did that do to your business? How influential was it to the growth? And probably people just see Stephan on the streets and recognize you from that. Is that the case?
It's not exactly like that. Right after the show aired, there was a few instances where people would freak out because they just saw you on TV and then they saw you in real person. But other than that, not really. But as far as the effect, the Shark Tank effect, a lot of people misunderstand that. They think you go on this TV show. They think if you get onto Shark Tank, all of a sudden, you're a millionaire, your life is easy. But really what happens is you're on TV, 5 million people watch this thing. You get this huge wave of traffic if you have a website for about 4 days because there's where they record it, and watch it later. And then after 4 days, that wave washes over you and you're back to normal. But because we were a search engine optimization company, and that's how I grew buypokerchips.com, was we go out and we collect links from valuable sites to link to us. So, Shark Tank called me out of the blue one day. I'd never even heard of the show. And they asked if I wanted to be on the show.
Wow.
And I said, yeah, I'll be on the show. But the thing I was excited about was getting a link from abc.com. So our traffic on our website was we were getting maybe 300 visitors a day leading up into the week going into Shark Tank, and it tripled to 1,000, and then it grew from there.
Basically, just rode that wave.
Yeah, so we had a bump from being on Shark Tank. It was maybe 60,000 in sales over 4 days, but that year we did maybe, I want to say 1.3 million in sales.
Wow, incredible.
So we were doing $60,000 days later on.
We are here at the warehouse, right? We're going to get a first-hand tour of really what's going on in here, and we'll follow you.
So the idea is when people come in and see their work on their bikes, they can see the retail. When they come into retail, they'll realize that we can fix their bikes too. So we've got a lot of expertise here. This is our film studio. So we do a lot of videos on bikes and how to repair bikes, and very just from an educational perspective, because e-bikes are kind of a complicated thing for a lot of people.
What's it cost to fix it? Is it per hour, per how much the parts hours, or what's the structure?
So it's about $110 an hour to fix an e-bike. If you come in and just to get an assessment, it's about $85. We do all the mechanical parts on bikes as well, but we have the expertise to do the electronics. And the funny thing is, if you go to most bike stores, and I would peg this number like 80 or 90%, they won't touch an e-bike. So you got 7 million e-bikes coming into the country here, every year in the next 5 to 10 years. Nobody works on them.
Wow. You mentioned growth hacking. I'm not familiar with that term. I'm sure many people aren't. Can you give us some secrets on what that is?
Yeah, so growth hacking is kind of, the early internet term for how do you grow a company with no money. And if you look at a company like Airbnb, their growth hack was they used Craigslist, and they used just free postings of all their listings, and they basically grew Airbnb on the back of Craigslist. So these free postings, right? An SEO company like Tower, we growth hack Google. We growth hack organic search results. So there's a term in growth hacking called OPM. Like in real estate, there's other people's money, right? OPM, right? In growth hacking, it's OPM, other people's networks. So you find somebody with a network and you figure out how you're going to leverage like Google's search results, Craigslist results. You can even leverage celebrities like influencers. This is essentially growth hacking. You're taking a celebrity's brand or a celebrity's Instagram following, and you're attaching a brand to that.
For a company of your size, you've got only 6 people employed. Tell us a little bit about why it's only 6, why not 20, why not 30, and what do they do? What are their roles?
We tend to hire like really smart kids like right out of college. Like you come out of college, we don't want people with experience, because a lot of the stuff we're doing is there's people that don't have experience in that. So we want people that are in learning mode. So we hire them pretty inexpensively, and we get super sharp people, because we're kind of a tech company, but we also kind of are like this surf company. So we can attract pretty good people. But what we insist everybody that comes into the company does is they either are in customer service or shipping as sort of like half their job the first couple of years. It's not like I got my marketing degree and I'm going to come in and be a marketing person and let's hire somebody to answer the phones and let's hire somebody to ship. So everybody does this. The containers get unloaded. I'm unloading the containers. Like, it's sort of shocking to some of these high-performing college graduates initially, but if they're the type of people who like to start companies, I'm trying to give them the entire experience. And then you have incredible people doing your shipping and answering the phone, and that blows people away. When they call up, it's not some customer service agent. It's the person who developed that product. It's somebody. It's me. It's somebody who really understands our product and our market and our customers.
Well, that's a wrap for part one of this two-part series. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. What an incredible story. What an incredible company. And they're not done growing. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, like this video. We appreciate you for watching, and check out part two.